This episode of Your Morning Drive is brought to you by Fireworks Co-working. They are a creative co-working space located in Marietta, Georgia, focused on supporting the local community and uplifting creative entrepreneurs. If you want to try out this beautiful space, this podcast room is just one of the many available rooms and spaces available for you and your company to work at. If you want to try them, you can. Use code DRIVE at checkout and you'll get a free day pass. So, if you're working from home, if you're working at an office that you don't have to go to, if you're tired of working at your kitchen table where you have to listen to your kids or your spouse or the lawn people in the outside cutting the grass and it's too loud for your Zoom meetings. Well, you don't have to worry about that. You can try out Fireworks Co-working in Marietta, Georgia. It's right down the street from Kennestone Hospital. They are the presenting sponsor of Your Morning Drive. They offer me a beautiful space for me to be able to record my podcast with all of the creators, business owners, and other individuals that I get the pleasure of interviewing, and they can be your home too. So either go to the space, tour the place with the staff, tell them Logan Lewis from Your Morning Drive sent you, or if you're booking online, again, use code DRIVE, DRIVE, for a free day pass to try the space. Your Morning Drive is also present to us by Good Days Canned Cocktails. Good Days are a classic cocktail brand created in a convenient, ready-to-drink canned format for any occasion, whether it's a pool day, a boat day, a beach day, a graduation, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, anything in between. Good Days are there for you. Good Days are ahead when they are in your cooler, your fridge, your anything in between. Good Days has your back. If you want to be one of the first to try their drink, you can do so by visiting drinkgooddays.com/pages/find-us to find a store near you selling their drink. Of course, you must be 21 years of age to consume and purchase. Welcome back to another episode of Your Morning Drive. I am your host with the most, Logan. It is great to have you guys with us today. Thank you for tuning into the show and for coming back consistently. We sincerely appreciate it. A couple things before we get going. We are in the Fireworks Studio in Marietta, Georgia. Shout out to them. Couple things. While you're listening to this, I want you, if you're listening on an iPhone, and if I hope you are, and I love my Android people too, but if you're listening on an iPhone, while I'm talking, do exactly as I say. Go to that little share thing, click the share button, and then on that little menu that pops up, tap the first person's face that's right there to share something to. Tap on their face and share them the link to this podcast, whether you're on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, whatever. Everything is just at Your Morning Drive. Whatever platform you do choose to listen to or choose to send to somebody, make sure you're subscribed on it so that every episode comes straight to your phone every release day, Tuesdays and Fridays. So just keep an eye out on that. If you want to stay connected more, you can follow me personally on the social medias, Logan Lewis on everything, as well as the show on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Everything of there, of course, is at Your Morning Drive. And on those platforms, you get fun clips to keep you entertained, episode announcements, everything in between. Thank you again for joining us today. At just 19, my guest today is redefining the Southern music scene with her captivating blend of country, soul, and rock rebellion. Her debut single, One for the Road, earned her the 2024 Lake Martin Under 20 Songwriters Competition title, opening for legends like Jeffrey Steele. Her journey began at 14 on the stage at Eddie's Attic and has led her since to Nashville, where she's played over 100 shows annually, including iconic venues like Whiskey Jam and the Coca-Cola Roxy Theater. A 2024 Georgia Country Awards Semi-finalist for Female Artist of the Year. Her raw, soulful voice and poignant storytelling are shaping her as a rising star in contemporary country music. Please welcome my new friend, Ava Connell.
Hi, Logan. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Good. I'm really excited to be here. We were supposed to talk last week, and luckily we ended up rescheduling, so now I get to sit down and actually see you face to face. So I'm excited.
I'm hyped too. You know, when we were coordinating that the first time, I was like, okay, so she's traveling, but that's okay. I'm just excited to be able to fit on the schedule. But then when you texted me, I was like, oh damn. But I was like, ooh, she's a Georgia girl. She's going to be in town for Thanksgiving. At least I assumed.
Yeah.
And then it just worked out.
Yeah.
So isn't that great?
It's awesome. And Marietta too is my hometown. So it's
Heck yeah.
super, super convenient.
Right.
And yeah. I mean, I'm super excited to be here. So
yeah. Thank you so much for carving out the time. I'm sure you're only in town for a little while. So, I mean, it's cool that you gave me some time today.
Yeah. I mean, awesome. I was actually, so I'm leaving for Nashville Tuesday, and then I will be in Texas, and then I'll be in Vegas next week too for NFR. And then after that, I have some shows in Chicago. So I don't think I'll be home really until Christmas, but
wow.
It's been super nice to like kind of have a chill week back home for Thanksgiving. And I actually was at the airport Thanksgiving morning, like flying in, and I woke up at like 5 a.m. to get to the airport on Thanksgiving morning, so my mom wouldn't be mad if I was late for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But you know, I was glad that I got there in time to see everybody. So
yeah, that's super cool. So when you aren't touring, when you're not doing shows, when you're not out and about, do you live in Nashville? Do you live here?
I live here.
Okay,
yeah,
sweet. So you do live here.
Yes. I lived in Kennesaw for a little bit last year, and then I ended up traveling so much. Like I was living in a house with like 4 other girls.
Okay.
Because I was going to go to school, but I ended up not because I was just like traveling and kind of doing my own thing. But I just recently moved back into Woodstock, and I live with my dad. But like, it's weird because I don't even really feel like I live there because I'm there 1 week out of every month.
Right.
So it's kind of like a landing pad for me right now. But I'm it and like, just being able to be on the road and see all the new places and travel. And a lot of the times too, like I'm with my friends, so it doesn't feel like super scary being on the road because I'll like bring one of my best friends and then the band or like whoever. So, but you know, it's fun. It's not something a lot of people my age I feel like get to do. So
yeah, I was going to ask, I know I'm not supposed to ask this to women, but how old are you?
19.
19.
Yes.
Okay, no wonder. Wow.
Yeah.
When you walked up, I was like, whoa, you're smaller than I thought. I mean, just like social media is such a weird thing in that like camera angles and everything, people look completely different sometimes in person. And I mean, the same thing with the person I talked to earlier today. I mean, he was like 6'4", but on social media, he looks 5'9", 5'10", just normal guy height.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you rolled up, I was like, whoa,
crazy?
It is crazy.
It's crazy. I think the only person I've ever like not met in person that I assumed their height, I think was Ariana Grande. And whenever I met her, I was like, there's no way she's shorter than me. And at the time I was like 13 years old. And so I'm like, oh my God.
Shorter than you?
She's the tiniest person you've ever seen. I don't know if she was shorter than me, but she was tiny.
Wow. You can't just name drop Ariana Grande like that all of a sudden.
I know, right? But no, it wasn't like I met her like for anything cool. I was like going to a VIP. I mean, not any like career thing where I like ran into Ariana.
You were going to see her perform.
I was going to see her perform. Yeah. So it was like a Christmas present that my grandma gave me and my cousins when I was younger because we just loved Ariana Grande.
It's a great gift.
It was amazing.
And she's killing it right now too with the Wicked stuff.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen it? I doubt it. Yeah.
No, I've heard everybody's been going though.
It's good.
Yeah.
As a dude who was being drugged by his wife to go, I had an interest to see it because my whole life I've heard like the name Wicked and like about the play and everything, but I know nothing about it. Like I don't
either.
I know, well now I know, and of course I won't spoil anything, but it takes place before the Wizard of Oz. It's kind of like the origin story for the Wicked Witch of the West.
The Wizard of Oz was in like the 50s?
Like the 30s.
The 30s.
Yeah. Long ass time ago.
That's actually funny because me and my band were just at this restaurant and we had like a Wizard of Oz like sign or something on the wall, and we were like all taking guesses of how long ago the Wizard of Oz was created, and nobody guessed the 30s. I think the lowest we guessed was like the 50s.
Yeah, it's like 1934 or something.
That's
crazy, right?
That's insane. Like, who would have even thought they could have produced films
right
back then?
It's crazy.
I know. That's insane. But now we're sitting on a podcast and we've evolved in technology,
right?
So I love it.
Can you imagine going back in time and giving them, like, just handing them
one of these microphones or like anything?
Just hand them an iPhone and be like, you can learn anything you want at all times. You can call anyone you want at all times. They probably would treat it like cavemen discovering fire, right?
Yes, 100%.
Just insane.
Oh my God, I would love to see that. I would love to hand a 1930s person an iPhone.
Right.
Just see what happens.
It'd be so cool.
Yeah.
I remember as a young kid, like, I think when I was like 15, 16, like I asked my grandparents, I was like, how old were you guys when you got your first phone? And they were like 57 because the cell phones didn't exist back then. They're like, oh, cell phones just became a thing in the, they're mid 2000s.
Yeah. I feel like maybe one day we'll get so like technologically, is that a word? Technologically, advanced that we can like have time travelers and then give them a phone.
Right.
Like, I wonder if that's actually a technology thing. That like, what do you think? Do you think time traveling is real?
Like right now?
No.
Or do you think it's like potentially?
Could it potentially?
Oh, for sure.
You think so?
Oh, for sure. I believe a lot of things that maybe I shouldn't, but like I definitely believe that like we'll be able to travel back in time at some point.
That's crazy to think about. I kind of believe it too. Yeah.
I'd be really disappointed if we never got there.
Really? I mean, I don't know. It seems like technology has no correlation with like time and like space, but I don't know. I mean, who freaking knows?
That's a really good point. I mean, it's a crazy, I mean, we already have technology that can get us to the moon. Imagine if it could just take us back to, I mean, it'll probably start like, all right, take me back 30 minutes ago. Yeah. And then take me back an hour ago. And then take me back a day ago. And then it'll get to the point where, I know, right?
And then everybody can just time travel.
That'd be sick.
That'd be sick.
It's probably going to be something only for the rich people, though. Like,
maybe, or only for like scientists. I feel like would be the safest way to do it. Like, you can only do this like if you're a government person with like a science,
some kind of security clearance or something,
right?
Like NASA or something like the FBI. I'm sure. Yeah, that'd be cool if they could go back in time and solve crimes that have never been solved.
Oh, see, now you're thinking because they could use it for really good purposes too.
I've been on this huge. Every once in a while, I don't know if you relate. I'm sure some people relate. Every once in a while, I go through a huge like murder documentary thing on Netflix, and I just watch them like back to back. Yesterday, I watched like 2 back to back, and I was like, and some of them are like the case has never been solved. Yeah. Like there's this really famous case about this woman. Oh, I forgot her name, but she's like a 6-year-old girl that was murdered in like the I'm messing this up like 2000s. Yeah. And some people, it was never really solved. Yeah. Some people thought the parents killed her. Some people thought because of all this evidence, some people thought that someone broke into the house and killed her. But I mean, what's the motive?
I feel like I know what you're talking about.
You do?
Yes. I used to be super into this. Like I would binge watch over and over Criminal Minds. Like all of those, like, I don't know what channel it's on, but like the murder mysteries and like NBC Nightline or whatever it is. Dateline, yeah. And now whenever my mom turns it on, I'm like, Mom, like get this off the TV. I can't, because I just get so much anxiety from it now. I'm like, I can't even watch this. But I mean, I used to be obsessed with it and like all those mysteries. So that would be super cool if we had John Bonet. Sounds familiar, yes. Yeah. But man, that would be cool if we could have like time traveling and just go back in time and like watch all those things get solved. Right. I feel like that would bring like world peace, honestly.
It might, but think about it this way too. I was just about to say, what if we could go back in time and stop things like Kennedy getting assassinated or Abraham Lincoln getting assassinated? But do you think like stopping those things, would that change the world today? Because you deal with that.
Honestly, probably.
Because what if you could go back in time and there's 2 different options? What if you can go back in time and just watch things happen?
Oh, like you can't actually
like affect anything.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that should be a rule. Like you can't mess with like fate.
Right.
Or like you can't go back and alter reality, but you can go back and see it for like, what if the next movie theater was like you go back and sit in a thing and like watch the literal past?
That'd be so sick.
That would be really cool.
We should invest in that.
We should totally invent that. I was going to ask you what if like you could time travel, the one thing that you would do would be.
Oh, God. Part of me...
Like hand a pilgrim an iPhone.
That'd be so sick. They'd be like, oh, what? Part of me wants to go back and like see dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And see like, I know
like
that we have
Jurassic
bones.
Park era?
Oh yeah. I'm a Jurassic Park nerd. When I was little, I was obsessed with dinosaurs. My parents thought I was going to like be one of the archaeologists that like dig up bones and stuff because I was obsessed when I was like 6. I don't know. But it'd be cool to go back and see dinosaurs. It'd be cool to go back and see like the U.S. like start like the 13 colonies, like the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, it'd be really cool to go back like even during like 1950 and just hand somebody like an iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
Or like, hey, like here's an iPod. Every song you ever wanted ever is on this little thing that fits in your pocket.
God, they would probably hate our music now.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my God, they would hate
Maybe not your music, but a lot of
not.
like the popular music they would really hate.
Oh, yeah. Like imagine if they just heard like Shabuzi Bar song. They'd be like, they would either love it or they would hate it.
It'd be the classic like old person like, this ain't country music.
Right?
This is a shame. Funny enough, I hear that plenty often because my father-in-law, he used to work in sound studios in Nashville. And he worked with like the greats, like the GOATs, like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson and some of the country music like legends. Like he was the sound mixer in like the studio booth.
Yeah.
And like when we play him modern country music, like in the car, he'll be like, this ain't country music. Country music died a long time ago.
I know it. But now I feel like Zach Top and like, I don't know. I feel like there's some people coming back into the industry that are kind of like giving people that really want that traditional country music sound, they're like giving it back to them.
I agree.
And I feel like, I don't know though. I've never asked like an older person what they think about Zach Top. So I probably need to ask my grandparents that.
I bet your grandparents would be like, who?
I know.
Because that's what I do to my father-in-law. I'm like, all right, if you don't like that person, well, what do you think of this person? Or what do you think of that person?
Yeah. It's always interesting to see.
Whenever I ask him about country, I'm always like, when did country music die? And he always gives me the most distinct answer.
Really?
He's like, Rascal Flatts killed country music.
No.
He thinks Rascal Flatts was the beginning of like the pop country going downhill.
Oh, I would so have to disagree.
I would too. I love Rascal Flatts.
Yeah, I love Rascal Flatts. That's crazy. Have you seen that YouTube video of them? I think they're like playing the Opry and they're just like, I forget what the lead singer of Rascal Flatts, what his name is.
I forget it too, but I can picture his face.
Yes. Is he like the blonde guy?
Yeah, like the spiky tips.
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And he's just doing the absolute most. Like he's up there like vocalizing every lyric of the song, but it's like it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, me and one of my friends were just like laughing at that video the other day. Like he's so freaking talented, but this video is hilarious because he just keeps going.
Yeah, he's just going off.
Yeah, no, I think they're great. I love Rascal Flatts.
I would agree. I feel like my childhood was comprised of solely Rascal Flatts.
Yes.
Because that's all my mom listened to was Rascal Flatts.
Yes. And do you know who Jeffrey Steele is?
Yeah.
Yes. And you know he wrote the Rascal Flatts hits. Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's who I was doing the Lake Martin Songwriters Awards and his daughter was judging like the competition. And I was definitely not expecting to win that, but when I did, I got to open for Jeffrey Steele. And I usually like whenever I'm performing, I'm kind of like in my zone and I'm not really like super closely watching the people before or after me because I'm kind of like more worried about you know, me going on stage and like doing well. And sometimes it gives me anxiety if I'm like, oh my God, these people are so great. Like,
sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but Jeffrey Steele is like the most amazing performer I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, it's crazy to me that he is not like a global superstar because of how, like, just him and his guitar, like, no one takes his eyes off him for the entire time he's performing. And I think that's really impressive. So he's definitely my favorite live person. Who's yours?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Man,
it's
favorite.
Always who you wouldn't think.
I have recency bias because I saw an artist a few months ago and he just put on a great performance. Yeah. And it was Posty. Posty.
Oh God,
he did a great concert in Atlanta. And it was of course all of his country songs that he performed. But I've seen some. Most of the concerts I feel like I've been to have been either hip hop or country. Like Travis Scott, I saw him. He was a really good performer.
I've heard he has like a really great stage production too.
Very like he spends the money on the production value.
I've totally heard that.
Jason Aldean was a great performer too. I really liked him. Kenny Chesney was a great performer. Eric Church was a great performer.
I haven't seen them. I actually saw Jason No, that was Tim McGraw. I saw from like the very back wall of a concert arena, but it was still great. I was just having fun up there in the nosebleeds.
For sure. You're just vibing in the back.
Yeah. You're like, I'm here. That's all that matters.
Correct.
Probably would have had a better view on TikTok, but you know.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, that's how we saw Posty, is we were like in the way back. And I didn't care because you could just see him like jumping up and down on the stage, and you're just like, oh man, I love that for him.
Yeah.
Him and Jelly Roll are going on tour together.
I was just at Jelly Roll's concert. In Austin, like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was awesome. Like I've never cried at a concert, but he is just like, he's a like pastor.
Yeah, he's a preacher.
Like, is he really a preacher?
No. But he gets up there and he just...
I would believe it.
Oh, for sure.
He really just has everybody, like, you think you're going to go and, like, have a good time, party at Jelly Roll? No, you're sitting there crying because he's, like...
He's got an amazing story.
He has an amazing story, and I didn't really realize all of it until I went to the concert. And, because, you know, every artist has, like, this great story, but, like, Jelly Roll especially is just very, very interesting. And, like, even like his production with like the firehouse coming over him and like the rain and all this stuff, I feel like is just very... interesting. But yeah, and then we went to like an after party afterwards at Joe Rogan's comedy bar.
Okay.
Or his comedy club.
Yeah, Comedy Mothership or whatever it's called.
That's what it was. And we met so many cool people there. Me and my manager did. And I was really hoping to meet Jelly Roll that night. I didn't.
Who'd you meet?
We met, do you know what Black Rifle Coffee Company is?
Absolutely.
We met the guy who owns that. So he's wearing this Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt. And I walk up, I'm like, what do you know about Black Rifle Coffee Company? Because I'm like a Georgia girl. So nobody knows about that. And he's like, well, I own it. I'm like,
damn.
No, but he's the sweetest guy ever. He's so nice. And he actually has like a recording studio and all this stuff. So I was talking to him. And then we met this guy who does like holograms. He creates holograms of like artists so that they can perform in like these digital worlds. I don't know anything about that. I don't want to sound stupid to the people who do.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that sounds really cool.
I know like some artists like Marshmello and different people like that have done like Fortnite things and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure what the purpose of me doing one of those would be, but I'm going to do one.
Are you?
He's here in Marietta.
Oh, really?
Which is crazy because I was in Austin and I was meeting all these people that like have connections to Georgia. But so I'm going to be doing one of those pretty soon. So I'm really excited. I don't know what it's going to be for. I have no idea who's going to want to watch a hologram version of me, but I'm all here for it because I think it'll be a cool experience. But
dang.
So I'm going to do that. And then I also met Barnes Courtney. Do you know who that is?
I know the name, but I don't know if I know who it is.
Yeah. He's like a rock kind of guy. And again, like this entire night I'm thinking like I'm gonna go like party and have fun, but he like sat me down at this booth and gave me the most inspirational music conversation I've ever had in my life.
Really?
Like really, for real. And I just like wish that I had recorded that. Have you ever had a conversation like that? Well, I guess you're a podcaster, so yes, like that you wish you would have hit record and record an entire conversation so you could listen to it over and over again. Yeah, I mean, I was like, that was something I was like thinking about the whole plane flight home. Like, I really cannot believe that I just had that conversation with him. And so, yeah, we met some cool people and it was a really fun experience. And thank you, Jelly Roll, because it was great.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yes.
I need to get, my 2025 goal is to get Jelly Roll on this podcast.
Oh, you have to do it.
I'm going to really try hard to make a personal connection with him because Jelly Roll is from the same town in Tennessee my wife is from.
Yeah.
It's called Antioch, Tennessee.
Okay.
And my wife's sister has now passed, but when they were in high school, her and Jelly Roll were friends.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to try to find some kind of way to get in touch with him or somebody on his team and just be like, listen, I married someone from Antioch. Jelly Roll was friends with my wife's sister.
Yeah.
Can I try to figure something out and see if I can maybe get him in 2025?
Yes.
That'd be a huge goal.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. But fingers crossed you can get him.
I know, right? Tell me about it. What's it like being like, I mean, I was thinking about this as I was waiting for you to come in, and I was thinking, what's it like to just all of the sudden? So like you're making music, you're a local girl, you're probably performing at restaurants and bars and places that you can get seen at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's it like going from that and then all of a sudden you have a manager and you have a team of people that work with you?
This
And
is
I know,
actually like my Roman Empire.
really, you
Yes, I
think
think
about
about
that
this
all the
all
time.
the time, almost every day. That like 6 months ago, I was in Dahlonega, Georgia, playing at a winery, and like nobody was listening to me because they're having like their bachelor
Yeah,
parties and whatever. And like I still do that because like you need to be able to make money, you know. And
yeah,
so and it's still fun, like to just kind of slow down and like go in the mountains and like play your guitar and not
sure.
have any pressure on you, but it's crazy how much can change. And like I was in such a different place this time last year where I was like literally sitting in my apartment every single day being like, am I going to be sitting in here forever, like rotting in my room, sending emails, like hoping that like I'm going to get gigs or that I'm going to be able to like do anything. And like a lot of the times as an artist, or I feel like as anybody, like you probably experience this too, like people don't respond all the time.
No,
Like when you're emailing people, like, and I've talked to so many artists about this, like people don't email you back and like people don't get back to you. And it's like out of every 100 emails you send, you'll probably get 5 responses and like one of those will happen.
absolutely.
So it can get very draining and like exhausting. And but I kept doing it anyways. And like every single night I would send more emails to venues or whatever it was. And then all of a sudden, like next thing I know, my single's coming out and I'm going to the radio station and I'm like going to Alabama for this contest and then winning it. And it's just like thing after thing was happening. And like me and my mom had this conversation while I was in Alabama, like, do you see, like, now it's finally paying off? And I was like, yeah, you're right. And ever since then, I've been thinking about it. And then it was crazy how it happened because I used to hang out. Do you know who Co Wetzel is?
Yeah.
So I used to hang out, like, kind of with him in his circle, not Co personally, but like a lot of the people that work for him. And I'd go to his shows, and they were all just like, they're the best group of people. Like, I know that they have like this degenerate image and like, and all this stuff, but really it's like not what you think it would be. Like everybody just hangs out backstage. It's not like always a party, and it's just like they're really really good people. And so I hung out with them a lot, and then I actually went to Hangout Fest. Do you know what that is? It's in
Yeah.
Gulf Shores.
Yes.
It was such a fun time. I got to see like Sexy Red backstage, and
Hell
it was
yeah.
so much fun. But we went and I met my manager, and at the time he was just like one of, you know, the crew members' friends that was coming to like get us from the front and hand us like our badges and whatever. And I thought he was the most cocky, annoying person I've ever met. He's this dad of like 3 kids, and he like walks around all like tough guy, and I'm like laughing to my friend. I'm like, I do not like this man at all.
Really?
And he knows this, and we joke about it all the time. But you know, we ended up. I had a different manager at the time who really wasn't doing anything for me, and I feel like that's kind of like your first encounter with a manager as an artist is like somebody who's just like says they manage you, but they don't really do anything, and like it kind of screwed me over, you know. Like he's really like put me in some bad positions, but like you live and you learn, and that's like a whole other story. But I mean, I ended up meeting this guy, and a few months later I was like, hey, like, so when are you going to manage me? Because he had given me all this advice while we were at Hangout Fest. And he's like, well, I guess I'll take you on. And so we ended up working together, and now we're like best friends. He's best friends with my mom. Like we all just like, we click really well. And I think it's like important to find like somebody who really believes in what you're doing. And like I remember when I was first recording my single, he's like sitting there tearing up, being like, oh my god, this is so great. And like to have somebody cheer you on like that is really really cool. And so he had ended up setting me up with Co's producer and Co's drummer, and we went to Stephenville, Texas to record my first single. And I was just like in awe the whole time because we're on like this big ranch in Stephenville, and it's filled with crickets too. Like I don't know if that's a thing in Texas, but crickets everywhere. You could hear them in my vocal mic. Like imagine this room's filled with crickets, and like in the background of your podcast it just chirp 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 the whole time. It's terrible. But no, I mean, it was just a really cool experience. And like ever since then, it's just been going nonstop. Like we're going to all these different things like the Jelly Roll show and going to meet people afterwards. And it's like, it's just so crazy how I was sitting in my apartment bored all the time. Like, and now I like really can't catch a break, but I'm so thankful for it. And like, even on those days that I get stressed out and like wish I could come home, like it's important to realize that you could be at home doing nothing. So I just talked for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, you did, but that's the point. Good job. Yeah, dude, that's really cool. So when you have a manager, so I literally know nothing about how this works.
Yeah.
So like when you have a manager, someone's representing you, they're going to try to hook you up with opportunities and
Yeah.
press and all kinds of other things. Like they're just like your liaison to
Right.
other opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's in it for them? Do they get like, and we don't have to talk too deep into it to get your business, but like, do they take a percentage of your earnings? Like, are they paid by like another organization? Like, how does that work?
Well, first of all, I'm not like I'm a nothing's too personal kind of person. Like I will really just sit here and tell you anything you want to know, which is a good and bad thing, but
it just makes you a good podcast guest.
Right. I see it that way too.
Yep.
And so, okay, basically how it works is with my manager that I have now, kind of how he operates, he also acts as my record label. However, I've always wanted to be able to own my entire catalog of music. So I have my LLC, which owns all of my catalog.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will be giving him a percentage of that since he funded like the recording and he acted as my label.
Sure.
And then as my manager, typically I think they make like, if they book you, they'll make like 10% of that, or like, I guess merch sales. I think different managers work different ways. Like some of them will handshake and be like, hey, if you make it, like, then you pay me type of thing. You know,
Sure.
like if they're investing in you and believing in you. And that's kind of the situation that I have going on with my manager, because right now the rate I'm making for shows, like he doesn't really care about making his 10%, you know, like it's more so like, hey, I'm believing in you now, and like I'm going to invest in your songs. I want my percentage of those songs if they do really well.
Sure.
But like I believe in you enough to say like if you do well one day, like you'll give me my 10 or 15%.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that it's kind of like a bargain, and like them putting in the work and the time. But it's also like, I think the important thing about having a manager at this stage in my career is realizing like no one's ever going to do things for you. And like even having a manager that's going to like go out of their way and try to make things happen for you, it doesn't mean that like you can start, you know, stop sending emails or stop trying to do your own thing. And like even when I had like a publicist full time, I was still sending out press emails. And I feel like that's something that I think is really important. But I mean, I could go into like a whole music advice rampage. Let's just start another podcast just for that.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, I think it's just different. Like I've seen some people be like, you make 10% up to like $100,000 income, or you make like 15% up to 500,000 and then like 20% after that. So I think it really just depends on the deal and like the artist, what level they're at.
So it's not a one size fits all kind of thing.
Definitely
I mean, it's
not.
definitely a case by case basis.
Yeah. And then you have like the scammy Nashville ones that like try to get you to pay them. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's just so different. And I'm kind of curious about that too, how other people's.
So I'm curious, like, do you like, for lack of a better way of saying it, like, are you like dating around to find your manager? Like, do you talk to a bunch of different people and you're like, what kind of deal do you want to work out with me? What kind of situation are you looking for? Like, and then how do you finally decide on the person? I mean, is your manager Tyler?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So
talked?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
So how's that work with like, so I had your phone number because we talked on Facebook.
Yes.
But then me and Tyler talked a little bit because you gave me his email.
Yes.
But then like me and you talked about rebooking this, and Tyler had nothing to do with that. So like, how do you like figure out like, oh, that's for Tyler to handle, or for like, did you just text me thinking like, he's a local dude, I'll just talk to him myself? Like, how do you distinguish between the two?
Honestly, I think we're still figuring that out. Like, to be so transparent with you, like we're still kind of figuring out what he handles and what he doesn't. So like for a while I was like having him handle like my scheduling, because that's something that I do need a lot of like help with, is like organizing things to make sure that I am not double booking myself or anything like that. like time management. So he was like managing my piano lessons and my voice lessons and things like that, but I'd have to reschedule them so much that I just figured out it was easier for me to just pick up the phone and call than to make sure, hey, did you do this? And like, and play like telephone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like he helps me as much as he can. And like, whenever somebody asks for my email to like book something, I'll give them Tyler's.
Sure.
But I think when it gets to like more personal communications or like I need to reschedule something, I'll just like do it myself.
Sure.
So I think it's kind of a team effort.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. So do you have like a team for your podcast? Like, do you have anybody that helps you out with like editing or like scheduling?
No, ma'am.
Nope. It's just
it's
you.
Me, myself, and I.
I love it.
I do it all.
One-man band. That's really cool.
One-man band. You know what's funny is as you're sitting here talking about a manager and someone who's going to try to help you find opportunities and things like that, I'm sitting here thinking like, I should find one. But at the same time, like
100%.
Oh man, this could get deep. But I mean, like my fear, but fear is a weird way of saying it. My fear is like, if I got a manager, like what if that manager found an opportunity for me tomorrow and then I had to quit my job? Because I have a full-time job outside of this.
I was going to ask you, what is that?
This is not full-time, although it feels full-time. I just work for a company that helps school counties. Like nowadays, I don't know if you know this, but kids, they don't even like do homework on paper anymore. They get laptops, little Chromebooks.
Totally. I have little sisters, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So my company will give these school counties in different schools the devices for the kids to work on, but then also if your little sister dropped it and shattered the screen, she or her school would send it back to us. We'd repair it and send it back. Okay. So we like provide the laptops and tablets and stuff, but then also repair them if the students break them.
Okay.
So what I do is I'm like a relationship manager. So like if Cobb County, for instance, was like, hey, we've had a lot of students breaking devices lately, like can we buy cases? Or like, hey, we have testing coming up, can we order 100 more? I'll patch them through to the salespeople and have the salespeople write them a contract, yada, yada, yada. Okay. I essentially am just like a communicator and like a relationship manager, I guess.
That totally makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, that's my 9 to 5 and this is my 5 to 9. Like I'm always
the hustle.
Hustling.
Yeah.
Always.
I think that's what you do when you have something that you really want to pursue.
I do.
I respect that really for real, because I think so many people their 5 to 9 is like going home and thinking about what they
what they want doing. They could do. Yeah.
Right. And I really respect people who are like doers and they want to do something and they just figure out a way, because I think that life's too short to like just wish, you know? And at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. Like if you fail, you fail. And I think that's the important thing about doing something that you love, because you can't really fail. It's like I still got to spend my like these young years of my life, like not slaving my life away in school, but like instead playing out at venues and doing what I love doing and meeting all these people. And it's like sometimes I do get caught up in that, like I really want to be successful. I really want to make it. I really want to be on that big stage like Jelly Roll. But at the same time, the fact that I even get to have these experiences, like that's cool. And I think I'd really be okay with just being where I'm at.
Right.
And I think being content is important when you're around so much all the time, and like seeing people who are doing better. It's important to realize like you enjoy what you're doing now, you know?
Yeah. And I agree with you.
How you feel like about podcasting? Like
for sure.
Like you would be happy doing it like this, even though you see like Theo Vaughn or whoever, and you're like, that's really cool. I wish I could do it full time, but like, or maybe you don't.
You're taking the words right out of my mouth, dude. Everything you're saying is just so true. I mean, like, of course, I would love to be able to do it full time, amongst other things. Like, I'm an insanely, well, not to like gloat or anything, but like, I'm an insanely like creative person. I have all of these ideas and ways and business thoughts and all these things that I want to do, and I'm trying to make them happen. But it is finding balance is tough.
It is,
especially being married and having to figure out like, okay, what nights am I going to have the laptop open and what nights am I going to not? Like, or do I wait for, she's a teacher, so she goes to bed insanely early. So I'm like, okay, do I spend my evening with her? And then when she goes to bed, I stay up and work on stuff.
Right.
But again, I don't think of it as work. Like I love doing this shit. It's,
Right.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
even if I don't make it to Theo or Joe Rogan or any of their levels, which I know Joe Rogan isn't a fair comparison because he's literally the top dog.
Yeah.
But
you know what's funny? I didn't even know who that was until I walked in his comedy. It's so embarrassing. I know. I'm like, where are we? And everybody's like, you don't know this legendary bar. I'm like, I'm not a comedy person.
Biggest podcaster on the planet.
I don't know anything about this. I didn't know who some big wrestler was the other day on the Sprinter band. Everybody's like, what? But I don't know.
You're not alone there. I don't watch a lot of wrestling or fighting or anything. The only fight I've watched recently was the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson thing.
And everybody was so disappointed. Netflix was glitching.
Right? You want to hear something wild? You know that blonde girl that took off in popularity because of that?
Yes.
I know her. She is, well, I don't know her. But her dad was my wedding DJ.
Oh, what?
Yeah, my dad's best friend from high school is her dad. And then he was my wedding DJ.
Here?
No.
Are you from here?
No.
Where are you from?
Illinois.
Is that where she's from?
Yes.
Okay. Very interesting.
Her dad's from Illinois. She might have been born in St. Louis, Missouri.
Is that like a full-time job, what she does? Like,
I don't know now. No.
I have no idea. Like, I've always thought about how many jobs are as just random things. Like, who would ever think to, I don't know, maybe people interested in wrestling would think that that's like a normal job. But
no, so I think I don't know a ton about her. I texted her dad the other day because I still had his number from when he was our wedding DJ. And I was like, yo, you need to get me Sydney. I need to get her on this podcast now.
Oh my God.
And he was like, I'll text her.
Oh
but
my God.
I mean, she's probably the busiest woman on the planet now.
Really?
She blew up from that fight.
I've seen like a few
basically
things
from memes about her. And
it's been crazy, like the blow up culture recently. Like first the Hawk to a girl. And then do you know the girl who's like, I like my something double wide. Like, yes, she is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
She is amazing. Like that kind of unique voice is really impressive. Mm-hmm. And
that Hawk to a girl can come catch these hands.
No. Really?
I don't dislike her. I mean, I just find it, like, but that's the culture we live in, is this like blow up culture.
I feel like it's a new thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like how people, it's just like overnight.
Yep.
It's really overnight.
Like all of a sudden, like that video goes viral. She moves to Los Angeles and she starts a podcast and now she has all these brand deals. And me, somebody who's been working at it.
In like a year. And
I hope so.
Be a hater. I'm not a hater.
Yeah. But I don't want to be a hater either, but it's true.
But it is true. I mean, to each their own. But at the same time, like, what in the world? You say Hawk Tuah on the internet, and the next thing you know, you're like moving out of your farm town to Los Angeles. It's crazy. Yeah. Like, what do you think the pilgrims would think of Hawk Tuah? Like, genuinely. The things I would do to show them that video, that's probably what I would use my one-time travel pass on.
You'd say, hey, check this out. And they'd be like,
oh my God, I have to tell you this. So this is so funny.
Okay, hit me.
My mom is like the most, like in the best way possible, the most non-disrespectful way possible, the most childish adult I've ever met. Okay. So like she's the type that at her office, and she's the boss, keep that in mind. Okay. She will put fart machines in the ceiling.
Oh, I love her already.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's so amazing.
Love her.
And so when the Hawk Tuah thing was going on, she goes in the soap dispenser at the bathroom, takes a cutout of her face and puts it above the soap dispenser. So then when people stick their hand underneath it, she's Hawk Tuah
spitting on that thing.
Yeah. It's great. And I have a video that she took of it, and I don't know why it didn't go viral on TikTok.
Shout out to your mom, because that shit is funny.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, how do you even come up with these things?
That is
I would never have thought.
Hey, mom, Ava's mom, that's funny as hell. Like,
oh God,
that's funny as hell.
It is. I have to give her credit. It's really funny.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But that's I mean, I agree. My parents are both also in the most non-disrespectful way, period, or possible. My parents are childish too.
Yeah.
Like my mom, like the fart machine thing, her parents used to do that stuff to us when we were like little kids. Like my grandma and grandpa, they would hide fart machines all over. And like at Christmas time, they'd like click the button and it would fart and all the grandkids would laugh and stuff.
I love it.
And like I went and visited my grandparents a few months ago and I found the old fart machine that my grandpa used to click. And he was like, it still works. And I clicked the remote and it farted. And I almost like cried. Funny. I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God, the sentimental fart
machine. For real, the sentimental
hilarious.
Fart machine, dude.
I love it.
Dude, shouts to your mom. That's really funny.
Yeah.
I hope that queen goes viral.
Oh my God, yeah. I love stuff like that.
I mean,
It's great.
So you're 19
Mm-hmm.
and you're seeing, I mean, first of all, so many questions for you, like real questions. So in doing a little bit of research about you, of course, I saw that comparisons to you were made like Avril Lavigne and like.
Yes. Actually, nobody's ever compared me to Avril Lavigne. I just aspire to be like Avril Lavigne.
Well, I like that.
But
like Jewel, Miranda Lambert. When I listened to your music, of course, on repeat this morning when I was getting ready and on my way over here.
Is that what you're gonna say?
No, I was going to say you sound like
surprising.
Miranda Lambert to me.
Really?
Like you give me Miranda Lambert
Well,
vibes.
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And Avril Lavigne. Like I don't know what it is, but it's just that edgier, like kind of like
That's such a compliment.
rock country kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I think of your country, I don't think of like podunk banjo plucking country. I think of like Miranda Lambert. Miranda Lambert doesn't have that. Sure, she has some songs that are like that, but for the most part, she has like a little edge to her.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's badass. So you already got that sound. So don't worry.
I think the hard part for me is like my best friend's dad is so funny. He's like, you don't eat pork rinds? And I'm like, no, I don't eat pork rinds. And he's like, everybody's going to think you're fake country. You don't even eat pork rinds. And I'm like, okay, sorry, Jody. I don't know what pork rinds are. Like, I've never even seen these.
I don't like them.
Pantry. It looked disgusting.
They're gross.
Fried pig skin, is that what it is?
I think so.
Ew.
Gross.
So no, it's not my snack of choice. I'll stick to my Lay's chips, but.
Hey, baked Lay's or regular Lay's?
Baked.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. Regular Lay's or barbecue? Because both go hard.
Barbecue,
baked.
I'd have to say.
Baked barbecue
Lay's. Choices is Miss Vicky's chips. I will search through the airport for some salt and vinegar Miss Vicky's chips. It's really bad. And I will buy like 3 or 4 bags of them because they're kind of hard to find.
Yeah, what's the traveling with Ava? What's the travel essentials? Like you have like 30 minutes before your plane takes off, you're going into the Hudson News. Yeah. What are you buying for your plane?
Airport stuff is so freaking expensive.
Right.
It's actually crazy. Like
you'll
like
go
and buy
$6 for a water bottle.
And like I'll buy like a headrest, a candy bar, and like a drink, and it'll be like $60. I'm not even kidding how many times I spent $60 in an airport shop. So I'm really trying to get better about traveling, and I watched all these like Vogue like travel tips and like all these like things that like these models who travel do, and I'm like, I'll get my life together and I'll travel like all fancy and nice, but I really don't. Like my suitcase most of the time I'll start it off packed and like folded, and when I come home I'm throwing stuff out at the airport trying to get it to weigh the weight limit, like throwing stuff away or like in my mom's suitcase or my manager's, or I'm just not an organized person. So I mean, I wish I had travel tips, but really I don't, other than I pack a portable charger, and that pretty much saves my life every time. I actually got to the point where the airport was telling me you can't, because basically if you forget your ID, they'll like go through this screening process and like prove your identity. So
you can fly without your ID.
Yes, but I thought it was unlimited. So this had happened to me like 2 or 3 times, and I get there and I'm in LA trying to come home, and they're like, this is the last time we're going to let you through security without your ID, and like you're lucky we even did it this time. And I'm like, crap, I got to get on another flight tomorrow. I'm screwed. I didn't know where my ID was. So that's how unorganized I am. I don't even travel with my ID. So
oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
It's rough. You can imagine my mom's stress with me traveling.
Does your mom go with you a lot of places?
She did, but both my parents work, and she has like 3 other kids, and so it's just like difficult. But ever since I got my manager, it's been a lot easier. And the thing about my manager is that he's not like, he has a full-time job, and it's not this.
Really?
He's kind of new to this, but he's been around the music industry for so long. Like he was a promoter, he's friends with Co, and he's seen it, and he's been around it for like 10 years. But he's kind of learning as I learn, and I think that's why we get along so well, is like not having somebody who's like a professional in the music industry and wants things done down to a T and will just kind of grow and learn with you is nice.
Yeah, that is nice. So there's not a ton of pressure on him.
Or me.
Or you.
Yeah.
Which is really, really nice. Especially as someone who's starting out their career in your, obviously in doing music, and he's starting it out in. So does that mean does he have multiple clients? What would you be called to him? A client?
I guess he refers to me like when he introduces me to people as his artist.
His artist, okay.
So I guess there's that, but he currently does not work with any other people. He was managing a couple of Texas artists, but he wasn't really doing like the full service thing.
Okay.
And I don't think that he was really like pursuing it the way he is now. But I think once we kind of joined forces and kind of made it like a fun thing, and I was very understanding that like, hey, I know you're not super experienced in like all these things, but like the great thing that I really appreciate is that aside from like having 3 kids and a job, like a full job, he like really wants to do it. And my band says the same thing. Like you can tell he really wants to do this and he's having fun. And I think that that's the most important thing, like with anybody I would work with, is just like enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
And wanting to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I mean, if you're not, like we said earlier, life's too short to not care about what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. Or not have a reason.
Right. Or any kind of drive. You ever meet people that have just no drive and you're just like, how do you live?
Like get through life? Like I feel like this is bad, but I feel like the career choice has a lot of effect of like my ADHD of like needing like something to be working towards or something to look forward to. And I really don't know what I would do if I knew that every day for the rest of my life I was going to be doing the same thing. And it wasn't something that was like moving forward or that I enjoyed. Like, how do you do that?
I don't know.
How do you not have drive? How do you like, I don't know.
So like now I get to ask you all the fun like music business questions. So like marketing, do you do all your own marketing? Or is there like an organization that works for you that does it? Or does he do it?
Well, usually, okay. You can do things a lot of different ways. And like, I've done things with like the spending excessive amounts of money that like, then you realize it's unsustainable way of like hiring people to do your flyers or like going on Fiverr or whatever it's called and trying to get people to do your flyer in like China for
Fiverr.
Yeah.
That's funny. Fiverr.
Fiverr.
I mean, shit, it might be called Fiverr.
Yeah. But it's just like, what am I even doing? Like I can just go to Canva, but my mom is really good with like designing stuff. So she'll help me with my flyers, but like my marketing, it's like its own job to like think about like promoting all your shows and handling your social media and getting back to all the and like I don't mean that like everybody's commenting on my stuff and messaging me way, but like it's really hard sometimes to remember, oh, I gotta post on YouTube too, and like all this stuff. And I watched this video the other day of somebody being like, I needed to remember that being able to post on social media and market myself is a privilege and not a chore. And like people didn't used to have the means to be able to go on social media and promote themselves. It used to be get in a bus and tour the world until you have a fan base.
Right.
And I used to think of it as like it's so stressful and it's so hard to like be a social media person when you just want to be an artist, but really it's like it is a privilege. So yes, I do most of my own marketing. One of the conversations I had with that Barnes Courtney guy that I was telling you about earlier that I met at Joe Rogan's bar was like learn to do things yourself, because I think as an artist you need to be able to make all of your creative decisions, and that includes everything from like learning how to produce, so you're not going and trying to hand your song off to somebody who may not see your vision, because at the end of the day nobody's going to do what you can do with your art and your brand as good as you can. Sure. So I think it's like about learning how to make the flyers and do the production and be your own press person until you're at the level where you can hire somebody, and be your own tour manager, and like having a manager that can act as all those roles with me has been helpful.
Yeah.
So I do most of the things myself.
Wow. Is that exhausting?
I don't
not exhausting. That's a dramatic term. But like you wish you didn't have to.
I don't know. I kind of
me and my dad
sometimes.
Me and my dad get in this argument all the time because we talk about like social media and like famous people using social media. Like, do they do it themselves or is somebody doing it for them?
Totally, someone's doing it for them, right?
And like my answer is some of the stuff is people doing it for them.
Yeah.
But like if Jelly Roll posts an Instagram story, like I would hope at least that he's recording that on Instagram and then posting it.
Yeah.
Like that's Jelly Roll doing that.
Yeah.
Although like my dad's just like, there's no way Jelly Roll's doing his own social media. There's no way.
Yes.
And like when I say like doing their own social media, but like I mean like posting stuff.
Yeah. Like
pictures of him, like if Jelly Roll meets Post Malone at the CMAs and they post a picture together, is that Jelly Roll posting that or is that somebody else posting that? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I also do. I have like my mom, she helps me with my Facebook and like posting and stuff. And then we also have like a social media guy on our team at Cherry Creek that like helps us find like the trending hashtags or like the times to post and stuff like that. But I would imagine like some of the venues I've worked with and I've done like Instagram takeovers for them where I'll make the content and it'll look like it's me posting on their story, but really
Sure.
I'll hand it off to the social media team and they'll go do it. So I feel like maybe they have somebody like that.
Yeah, probably. What is Cherry Creek?
Cherry Creek is the management company that Tyler started, and I actually own 50% of it.
Okay.
And so which it's not really worth anything right now, but the hope is that one day it will, and it'll kind of be like.
Is it like a label?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're thinking about signing another person right now. And so just to kind of add to the team, but we also wanted to like, because it's so much to just manage one career, like really him and I be able to give like another artist the time that they deserve and like because you don't want to spread yourself too thin and then like
Sure.
half-ass somebody, but I don't know. I think that it would be fun to like have another artist be working with us too and like grow. And I mean, right now we don't have like actually hired team members, but we have a lot of industry friends that will help us out and can give us a call whenever we need help.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You and I have a mutual friend also. I remembered just now in Rock Down South.
Oh, really?
Me and, why am I spacing his name? Mark?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's hilarious because my manager met him. I think he was like working security or like for the concert when I was at, who was it? It was just Chase Rice or somebody at like Amerisbank Amphitheater.
Yeah.
And me and my friend were just like having a great time watching the concert, and we were like in the pit area, and I saw my manager and he was talking to, because we were supposed to go to a show for one of our friends at Miss Old Bar. It got canceled that night, so we went to this concert, and he was like talking to somebody most of the night. It ended up being Mark or I forget it's so weird with me, but I forget the other guy's name that also runs Rock Down South. There's two of them.
Yeah, I've never met the other guy.
Yeah, it was one of them, but he met them, and I ended up playing that show like a month later.
Yeah. Mark was trying to get me to, so I might have met you even earlier. Well, really? I didn't meet you, but I could have met you earlier. But that night that you did that last Rock Down South show was the night that Post Malone was in town.
Really?
Because Mark texted me, he was like, come to the show. Because the first time I went to the show is when I interviewed another girl on this podcast. Her name's Ashley Walls. Okay. She's a up-and-coming country girl, too. Really cool. And she performed at that show. And so I was like, oh, I got to come and meet Ashley. Because we had done our interview like 3 months prior virtually. And Mark was like, hey, Ashley's going to be one of the headliners on this show. You should come check it out, meet her, whatever.
Okay.
And so I might, in the future, next time Mark puts on some of these shows, I might sponsor them. Your Morning Drive might sponsor the shows just to give, to be able to, sit down with the artists and talk to them and get their stories and everything. But
that's super cool. Yeah, it's a great show. They have like a nice green room. It's really, really cool.
At the Ivy?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, next time he throws a show, I'm going to have to try to get out there because he does a lot of really cool stuff. I'd keep an eye on that guy.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It was super fun. My manager actually, like at the end of the round, like they were like doing like covers and it was just like a fun chill type of thing. My manager got up there and started singing Matchbox 20.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was so much fun. And my family was there. It was just a good time. And I love nights like that where everybody just like has fun.
Yeah, where everyone can get together and jam out and have a good time.
Exactly.
Tell me about your music. I mean, you just dropped a new song. At least the time that we're recording this, you just dropped a new song.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
I'm going to Nashville Tuesday to record an acoustic song, and it's called Ashtray. I've only performed that live one time at the Georgia Country Awards, but that'll be my next single, and I'm planning for it to come out January 17th, but I'm very reluctant to like put a release date on it yet because sometimes I get behind and I'm like, crap, I'm not ready. And like, because it's like a whole thing, like you have to plan your posts and promote it properly or else the release won't do well. So it's like, I don't know, because I just released this one if I'm like ready for January, but I'm hoping so. But that'll be the next song. This song that I just released, I had my release show in Texas, which was super fun. because my manager, he's based out of Houston, so his entire family got to come out and celebrate his nanny's birthday, and my best friend had traveled with us, and so yeah, it was really fun, and I'm super excited about this song too, because I feel like my first song was kind of like a love song, and this one's like the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So
It'll Buff is good. We love It'll Buff.
yeah,
It's kind of a,
thank you.
when I listened to it, that was the song that gave me like the Miranda Lambert
Totally.
vibe.
Yes.
So that's really, really cool.
Yeah. Whenever I'm performing live, I always get Jewel, and I've never understood that. But I've gotten it an insane amount of times. And then I've gotten Taylor Swift an insane amount of times, especially when I released One for the Road. Get Miranda Lambert more. But I think those are like my top comparisons, I would say, that I get. Yeah.
Who's your inspirations, like the biggest ones?
Avril Lavigne. And then I would say... Oh, that's always like such a hard question for me, but I love Miranda Lambert, and a lot of my inspirations I feel like are guy artists, which is like, I feel like when people ask me that question, they're expecting me to say like Carrie Underwood or something, but like I really respect artists who are like genuinely good people, and you can tell like Jelly Roll. I feel like Post Malone's a really great guy from what I've heard, and I love Ko Wetzel because he's a very, very hard worker. Like, and when you're around artists like that kind of have that partying image, and you realize, no, wait, they really like bust their butt. Like, it gives you a lot of respect. But I also love Treaty Oak Revival. Do you know who they are?
I've heard the name, but I don't know if I've heard the music.
You need to listen to them. They're amazing.
Okay.
And they are independent, and they're doing so freaking well. Like, they are killing it right now. And I met them, and everybody's like, don't meet your idols, because like Treaty Oak truly, like, they're my idols. And they're the sweetest people ever. And their bass player is actually playing on my next song that I'll be recording in Texas in January. So it's not Ashtray, but it'll be the next songs after that. And so it was kind of a dream come true to have him be like, hey, I like this song, I'm down. I'll go to the studio. So,
that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
If you do stick with that January 17th date, funny enough, calendar-wise, this episode is slated to drop the 14th.
Ooh, so, I love it. Okay.
If you stick with the 17th, the 14th, this will come out, and it'll be an easy promo to say, hey, in a few days, stream the new song.
I guess I got to now.
Maybe.
We'll just make this Ashtray's coming out soon, even though it's like 2 months. No, it's like a month. No, a little over a month in advance. But yes, I'm hoping. Yeah. Now I really want to.
That's really exciting. You should stick to it. Yeah. We'll do it all in tandem. Okay. It'll make sense.
Yes, we'll do it. Heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. Hey, this is the breaking news here. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Single coming out in a month or so.
Yes.
That's really fun. How do you decide when the right time is to drop a song? I mean, because you put out It'll Buff, a couple weeks ago at this point. Yeah. So when do you decide, like, okay, like, we'll let this song have like its month or so to like catch fire or not catch fire, depending on how people respond to it? When do you decide, okay, so it's time to put another one out?
Well, okay. So we kind of have this plan right now. Like, first it was just get the first single out. And then a lot of our industry friends that we have talked to have said, like, you need a EP. Like, you need 4 to 6 songs out. And so that's the goal. And they say the best way to do it that we've heard the most is like I think it was 2 months. And so that's what we've been doing. And until we get to the 6-song EP that we're going to be doing. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. And like, I've heard that Ed Sheeran, like whenever he's writing an album, he'll write like 3 songs a day. And like, it's really a hustle. Like, he will sit down and do it. And that's like why he's one of the best songwriters ever. And so I've been really, really trying my best to get in the habit of every day, like sitting down, and kind of co-writes give you the discipline to like finish a song all the way through and spend 3 hours. And like, my ADHD sometimes, like, I can't sit down for that long, but I've really been trying to like push those songs out, because I feel like the best songs are the ones that you really sit down and like see all the way through, instead of just like jotting down your idea and coming back to it. Because I have like, oh my God, I have like 100 songs that I've just like started but never finished. So we're working on that. So that's kind of like the time frame. But yeah, I feel like I'm missing a part of your question. You asked me the time formula or whatever for
No,
releasing.
I think you hit it on the head.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
there's a strategy behind when you
Yeah.
release the music.
Yeah, and then I think like Fridays are the best days.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and we wanted to avoid December because like holidays, people just want to listen to holiday music.
Yeah.
So there's like different factors.
I think most new music comes out on Fridays.
Yeah, because I guess it's like the weekend people, I don't know. But another thing is like building up Spotify followers before release apparently helps the algorithm. Like social media has an algorithm. I think like you know this probably,
Sure.
like on listening platforms, they have an algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you build up, and this might be helpful for you too, like if you build up Spotify followers before something drops, you'll see like a spike 2 weeks after it releases because I guess people have subscribed to you already, so they'll see it and then it'll drive your streams up. But there's a lot that goes into it on the back end of a release, like pitching it to playlists and sending out press releases and like scheduling your release week and trying to fill it with like things to do that put your song out there. But yeah.
Yeah, that's really fun. That's really fun. Do you love songwriting?
I love it. That's why I started. And for a while, I had like a year or two gap when I was like in high school where I was just like not thinking music was going to be like a career for me. Because I don't know, like I think I kind of just got so caught up in like social life and like what everybody thought. And like at that time, it wasn't cool. And I've said this in like every interview. But I mean, that whole time was like writing songs. And then that's why I was like, came back to it because I was like, I'm doing this because I love it. So why don't I just do it?
I was going to say, at what moment did you decide, okay, music can be a thing for me?
Yeah.
And it will be a thing for me to like manifest it. Like at what point did you decide, okay, like I'm going to say, screw what everyone thinks, screw all of the, the negative thoughts, the negative energy. I'm going to do this damn thing.
Yeah.
Like at what moment was there a particular time and day that like you were in a conversation or maybe you performed at a venue and you like look out, saw the crowd and thought like, this is me. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I think like the thing that a lot of people don't talk about is like every artist, no matter how much you love what you do, has moments that are the opposite where it's like, I don't know if I can do this. And I think that those are just as valuable as the times that you're like, I can do this. And so I think I've had so many moments of both. And the important thing is just like to be able to push yourself through both of them and maintain the same level of hard work and motivation, even when you go through periods of feeling like, I don't like feel confident in myself because it fluctuates. But I mean, I was very, very passionate about it when I was like 13 and 14. And I was like, I can totally do this. And I was like, that was my entire life. Like I went into homeschooling and I wrote every single day. And like I was hustling harder than probably any 13 or 14-year-old was. And then when I got in high school, I kind of wanted to just go like hang out, and I enjoyed writing and I didn't want to be judged for it. So I kind of did it behind closed doors. But then I decided like, hey, I want to go perform. So it was like an easygoing thing. And then I was like, I can do this. But then like the other day when I was in Texas, I was performing a show and I kid you not, and this is me being so honest, I bit a hole through my cheek because I was so nervous. And I have no idea why. And it's like, some days you'll have the most fun and you'll be up there like, I'm loving life right now. And then other days you'll be up there like having the worst anxiety of your life and like going out midway through the show like crying because you're just like, why am I not doing good? And it's just crazy though how it works because it's like you have moments of both.
So do you have stage fright?
It's not even stage fright. I've never really had stage fright. Like sometimes I'll go out and be like, I can't wait for everybody to see what the show I'm about to put on. But then there will be like once every few months that I'll just have a show where I'm not feeling it and I don't want to get up on stage. Like one time I had just gone through the worst breakup the same day that I had to get on stage. My mom pulled up to my apartment, was like, get in the car. You're not missing this show. And I was like, thank you so much for doing this. I hate you right now, but thank you for doing this. And I'm like sobbing, trying to put my makeup on in the car. And as soon as I got there, I felt better. And I was like performing and I was good. But it's not stage fright. I think it's just sometimes you're not in the headspace to get on stage, but you have to anyway. So.
Another fun question I thought of just now was, when you're a young artist, you're performing the couple songs that you do have, maybe some unreleased stuff, maybe some songs you've written. But for the most part, or not, I don't want to say the most part, but a lot of the time you perform covers. Mm-hmm. What are some of your favorite covers to perform?
I love Baby Girl. I will never take that one off my set list. It's by Sugarland. And
Okay.
because when I was in preschool, I think what really shaped my music taste, and like I really don't think I'd be a country music artist.
When you were in preschool?
Yes.
Is that what you just said?
Preschool, on the way to preschool every single day.
Okay.
My grandfather would drive me to school, and he'd play like Little Big Town, Sugarland, all those things that were like on the radio at that time. And that was like how I knew about country music. And like, I don't come from a country family, okay? Like, I'm not country. And you heard it here first, I do not claim to be country. That's where I was going with the pork rinds thing, okay? I mean, I guess I claim to be country because it's like, you have to pick a genre, and I'm from Georgia, and I love country music, but like,
what would you identify as then?
I don't know. I have no idea, because I hate like saying, oh, pop. You know,
Southern rock?
Maybe.
You're Southern pop?
I don't know. It's just so hard. It's just like, I don't know. I just write what comes natural to me, you know? But I don't know. I know one day I'm going to get those, like, you're not country, but it's like, okay, I know.
Hey, I'll be the first to tell you that. Like,
yeah, like,
not pretending to be something I'm not.
So, I mean, but yeah, and I mean, in some ways, I do appreciate that, like, country music is starting to have so many crossovers where it's like, you don't have to be country to sing country. But at the same time, like, I know it's pissing a lot of people off too.
That's okay. I mean, music.
Like the CMAs drove people crazy. Like some of the people that got nominated. Or was it the CMAs? Or it was some like nomination that like Beyonce was in or something for the country, and everybody was mad.
I don't care that much about this kind of stuff, but Beyonce doesn't need to be nominated.
Yeah.
That album was not a country album.
It wasn't.
It was a pop R&B album with Southern lyrics.
Yes, absolutely.
Whereas, meanwhile,
and I do understand the frustration with awards, because it takes away from people that probably should have been in that nomination. What I don't really agree with is like people being like, this isn't country, and like that you can't have a genre classified song, because it's like, I don't think people really asked for that. I don't know, maybe Beyonce did, but I don't know. But the whole award thing, I was like, I was a little thrown off about that.
Yeah. Stinks.
Yeah.
My friend, every interview conversation I have with someone, I ask them a collection of questions where they're the same for everybody. So whether I'm sitting across from you or Miranda Lambert, I'm going to ask her the same set of questions that I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
They're very casual first date kind of questions to get to know somebody like on a human level. Like we just talked about all kinds of music business stuff. But I mean, let's reel it back in and talk about everyday human life stuff. So they're very, very just down to earth questions. There's a couple deep ones, but for the most part, they're pretty fun. Hey guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about the company that makes your morning drive happen every week. Are you looking to elevate your business and your brand? Hammerhead Creations is here to help. They offer top-tier marketing services, including social media management, website design, and Google page optimization, ensuring your business reaches the right audience. Whether it's a side hustle or your full-time grind, their expert team, me, is ready to help you grow. Plus, if you're into podcasting like me, Hammerhead Creations offers full support for both in-house shows and external podcast creation. From concept to production, we will help you bring your ideas to life. Visit www.hammerheadcreations.com and discover how we can take your business or your podcast or both to the next level. Hammerhead Creations, swim with the big sharks.
All right.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh, God. Maybe White House Down or Safe Haven. That's like two completely different. I know. Wow. I love action movies, though. White House Down is one of my favorites.
That's a good one. And Safe Haven is a good movie, too.
I worked at a restaurant. Actually, I've had a lot of jobs, and I just know one day I'm going to be having, like, if I ever succeeded, I'm going to have, like, this is so terrible.
When you succeed.
Yes. When I succeed, I'm going to have, like, 10 bosses being like this. When she was 16 and 15, she quit within 2 weeks of working for, I'm not kidding. I had so many jobs.
Where'd you work? What restaurant?
The Mill in Roswell.
Okay, really?
Yes, I worked as a host because my best friend got a job there and I wanted to hang out with her. I didn't have a car yet, so I was just going to work. But I worked like at an eyelash place. I don't know. I was a little job hopper when I was a teenager, as messed up as it is.
Hey, that's okay. You got to do what's best for you.
Yeah, but I had a lot of jobs. When I worked at Taco Mac,
Hey,
Yeah.
really? Which one?
I'd get off school and go to Taco Mac. I worked at the one in Roswell. It's
Okay.
like right across from like Blessed Trinity.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you know
Yeah,
what it is.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
How long ago was that you worked there? A couple years ago?
I was like, a couple years ago. I was like 16, 17.
Taco Mac used to be one of my favorite. You might think this is a trash move. Taco Mac used to be one of my go-to first date spots.
I don't think that's trash at all. I think that's actually, me and my best friend have talked about this. That's
Really?
a great first date spot.
Thank
it's a great
you.
bar.
Thank you.
Yes, that's like super casual, like not over the top. I think that's great.
People like say like, oh, you're on a first date, you're not supposed to eat like wings because it's messy. And I was like, who cares?
I disagree.
I disagree
and their
too.
queso is amazing. Me and my friend will go there for their queso. She'll buy a bottle of their ranch. Like she will go home with a bottle of ranch. She's also obsessed with ranch. But
you can do that. You can buy their ranch from them.
Things. Yes.
I agree with you, dude. I'm so glad to hear you say this. As a former Taco Mac employee, their queso bangs.
I actually worked there probably the longest of any job I worked because I would just sit behind the host stand and color and, just hang out. And it was great. Roll silverware, just listen to my music.
Heck yeah.
Loved it. So.
Do you listen to your own music?
No. I'm like, I should be my biggest supporter, but
right.
it's by the time it releases, I'm so sick of it.
I don't listen to any of my stuff either.
I know, because you're like, well, I've already heard it. Like,
right?
I just don't.
People are like, you don't listen? I'm like, no.
No, it's boring.
It is boring.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. Boring, I don't even think I've listened to my song that's released. Maybe one time with like my family, but like, you hear it for like 12 hours in the studio, and then you hear it like when it's done a few times, and then you're like, okay, I'm done with it. And you perform it, so it's like.
Right. So it's like you don't need to listen to it. You know how what it sounds like.
Yeah, I know it. Like, okay.
Rank these 3 things in order of your favorite to your least favorite. Okay, we just talked about queso, but add in guac and salsa too in your order.
They're not even on my list. I hate avocados and I hate salsa.
Wow.
Yes.
So queso's the number one.
Yes. That was very hostile for no reason.
It was like, your vibe. Guacamole. You were just like, you know what? Fuck guac. No, but.
Oh my God.
I agree. I don't like avocados. I'm not a guac guy at all. There are some restaurants that have good salsa. I'm not like a chunky tomato kind of guy at all. Like I think it's gross. I don't like the texture of like diced tomatoes. Yeah. But like if I go to a Mexican restaurant, in fact, as we were sitting here getting ready to ask this question, I texted my wife and I was like, "Can we get Mexican tonight?"
Yeah. Oh, I love Mexican.
Yes,
you know what's so gross?
She said yes.
Oh, good. I love it. She said yes. The wife said yes.
She said yes.
But in Texas, they have like nasty orange queso at every restaurant. I'm like, why do you not have white queso?
Dude, that's Texas though.
It's so gross. Like, how dare you? Do you guys know what you're missing?
Why do you spend so much time in Texas? Why Texas? Oh, because your label or your manager's based out of
and it's such
Houston.
A fun music scene. Like it is so much fun, and like doing shows there is just great. And it's like it's Nashville, but not Nashville. You know?
Yes.
Like Fort Worth, Dallas, great music scene.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard Austin is pretty good too.
Austin's great. Yeah.
I've heard Austin is the Nashville of like out that way.
It's more alternative.
Really?
Yeah, but I feel like the Fort Worth scene is like all the Texas musicians, because Texas is really its own scene. Like it has artists that like really only tour in Texas, but I feel like everybody's always like F Nashville in Texas.
Really?
I kind of like it.
I love Nashville.
No, I kind of like that they say F Nashville.
Really?
Yeah, I hate Nashville.
Really?
Yeah, I used to love it, but I just think that it's just, I could go on a rampage about it, but I don't like Nashville.
No way.
I mean, I go there for what I need to, and like, there's some really great people there, but at the same time, I don't think I could ever live there in the middle of all the.
I understand that though.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I did my bachelor party in Nashville. Had a great.
I love it. That's the place though for bachelor parties.
It was a good time.
Nashville is a new Vegas. Nash Vegas.
Oh, for sure. For sure. If you were getting the electric chair, very morbid.
Oh, wow.
Very morbid. But if tomorrow was your last day on Earth, what would your last meal be before you go?
Oh, wow. That's so hard. Well, the first thing that came to my mind was Cheesecake Factory, Linda's chocolate fudge cake. I love chocolate cake, but I would have to say probably like a really good steak.
Okay.
Like, have you ever been to Mastro's?
No, where is that?
I went in LA, and I went every single day. Oh, I could
every day.
I went all the days I was there.
Damn, music's doing all right then? I'm just kidding.
We went with like my photographer and some of like the other people that we were working with there who are just amazing, but it was so much fun. And like the best chocolate strawberries, best mashed potatoes, best steak. It was great. 10 out of 10. That would be my last meal.
That's a good meal.
Yeah.
Good meal. I can't wait for your answer for this one.
Yeah.
You get to organize a music festival that is tailored towards you.
Okay.
So who are your 3 headliners?
Well, I'd have to say probably Miranda Lambert. Is it like my favorite artist, or is it like people that are like me as an artist?
Just your favorites.
Okay.
Your 3 favorites.
I put Miranda Lambert, Treaty Oak, and Co.
Okay.
I think.
It's a good lineup.
Yeah. I think people would come to that.
I think so too. For sure. On a day that you are not working, a day that you're not writing, a day that you're not, no commitments. Mm-hmm. So on a day like this week per se, where you get to come back home and you get to hang out and just chill.
Yeah.
What's a self-care day like for you? How do you take care of yourself? How do you recharge?
Sit in the bath. I love taking a bath when I get home. And then I love like whenever I'm home to go sit at like a coffee shop or something and like catch up on like my work. But I guess if I'm not working, I'd probably like, this is just honest, go to the tanning bed. Don't hate on me for that, I know. I would probably go get like lunch or something. I love acai bowls. And then I don't know, like do my little self-care, like my bath and my skincare and like my face mask. Like I feel like that's always relaxing and recharging, and like also to clean, like I feel like always makes me feel better. Like how to have a made bed and like do my laundry, and that just seems like a great day to me.
Yeah, I like that.
See my friends, yeah.
For sure. What is something that you draw the line at? So, for instance, like if me and you were joking around and I say something and you're just like, oh, no, not it. Red flag. Or basically something, I hate throwing this word around because people throw it around too much, but like what triggers you? Like what would make you be like,
I'm so unhinged. I can't, like...
You seem so nice.
I know,
so
but
pure.
I'm just the most non-judgmental person, and I really just don't think that there's much that people could say that I'd be like, don't say that. But it's like, obviously there's things I think that are like messed up that you just don't say, but like, I don't know off the top of my head. Like, I think it'd have to be pretty bad for me to be like...
I agree.
You know?
Yeah. For me to be like, whoa.
Their own.
Yeah. I can't even picture myself being like, whoa.
I know. I don't think I've ever done that.
Because I'm the most confrontational
I just won't say
right.
Whatever I think
exactly.
is weird. I'll just think it in my head and be like, oh,
I'm like
say that.
The most confrontational / non-confrontational person.
100%.
Like I feel like in my head, I'm just like, that's fucked up. But would I say that? No.
Right.
Probably not.
Yes, definitely not. Like I'm confrontational in the way like me and my sister will scream at each other, but like non-confrontational in the way that like if somebody says something horrible, I'll probably just
like nod anything. Or just not say anything. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
What's something that very little people know about you?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I mean, probably, I don't know. There's a lot of things. Like, I don't know. Ask me something more like, I don't know.
What's your deepest, darkest secret?
What's something that not a lot of people know about you so that I can get an idea of like what you're thinking?
Okay. I put on a front that I'm like super duper like confident about like this, about like my life in general, but I'm actually very, very in my head.
Yeah.
And I am my biggest critic and I never accept compliments and I'm really self-conscious.
Honestly, I would say that it's probably the same for me. And I actually, again, it's so weird. I had this conversation with my friend the other day. I don't know what it is, but we keep having like these little topics that I'm like, I just was talking about this. Some most random things too. But no, I would say probably the same thing about myself, that like I've had multiple and I guess maybe people do know this about me, but I've had multiple conversations with like people that I look up to in the industry who have told me like co-writing doesn't matter because as an artist, and somebody, I think it's Rick Rubin, has a podcast about like creative art and like what art really means. And it's like, I reposted something the other day and it was like, art is still worth making even if you get 0 likes. And I think that that's like kind of the mindset I've been trying to go into, is like to stop second guessing myself or thinking that I need a professional to help me or I need a better writer to help me on a song, because at the end of the day, like I want it to be mine, and I want it to be like my art. Like I want it to be my song, you know? And so I think like it's really easy when you're doing anything creative, like even podcasting, for you to sit here and talk about thoughts that you don't know if people are going to relate to. But I think that the best podcast you'll ever make will be the ones where you sit down and say something that you think nobody will agree with or relate to, because it's just like, that's what people want. It's like raw, authentic. Like you're not sitting there like, oh, is this something that people are going to agree with? Or is this something that people are going to connect with? It's just like, it's just you. And I think that that's what people want, and like in a society where it's just so normalized to like try to like be relatable, like, you know, like TikTok's always like relatable this, that. It's just like, that's not, I don't know.
That's a good answer. That's a really good answer.
Yeah, I think that that's probably something that a lot of people would say about like, not a lot of people know that about me.
What is your biggest fear?
I don't know, it's kind of deep, but probably losing like my mom or somebody very close to me. And like somebody in my family just had a health scare, and that was really scary, because like being out of town and like hearing that something's like going wrong with like, and it was my grandmother, and it's because she was actually my biggest supporter, like before, like, you know, like it's always your grandma who's like, always. You can do this, honey, you know? And so I think probably losing one of my family members and like realizing the reality and like the seriousness of that, like, because I've never lost anybody really close to me. So I think that's probably my biggest fear. But maybe like, I don't know, like probably snakes. I hate snakes.
Same.
Yeah. What's yours?
Ooh. Not living up to the potential that I think I should have.
Yeah. I think everybody's fear is failing. Like, of course, mine is failing, but I guess we talked about what does that even mean earlier.
Right. Yeah, I mean, losing someone really close to me would be horrifying, but also like the ocean. You won't get me in the ocean. I'll go to the beach and like get in the beach, like and play in the water and stuff.
But I'm always
like
thinking,
deep
like, where's the
ocean,
shark?
like nah.
No.
Like if we're on like a boat and it's like, yay, haha, fun. I'm not jumping in the water.
I love watching movies like 47 Meters Down,
right?
And like all the Jaws movies.
Because I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'll watch you do it, but nope. Like you'll really know I overcame all my fears and became a fearless person if you ever see me in a cage diving tank.
Oh, for sure. That's how that's the same example I use too. Because I'm like, bro, never gonna do it.
No.
Never.
Oh, and heights too. I hate heights. And I used to be a flyer in cheerleading, which is crazy because I can't do it. Like skydiving, no.
Nah.
You couldn't pay me enough money.
No?
Well, maybe. I take that back. If you're going to offer me like $50 million, maybe.
What's the cheapest it would take to get you to go skydiving?
Probably
like let me throw out some numbers, like $10 million.
$10 million. That's what I was thinking.
What about $1 million?
I don't know. I mean,
that's a lot of money.
Truly, I would say no, but really, truly, somebody came to this table right now and was like, I'll give you $1 million to go skydiving. I might probably do it.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Is it cash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After tax.
After tax, it's $1 million.
After tax, $1 million.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah. Oh, man. And then the last question for you, my friend.
Okay.
What does success look like to you?
Probably selling out a big arena, like Mercedes-Benz. Oh, that's like a huge dream. And it's so crazy to talk about, like sitting here and like playing not even ticketed venues yet most of the time, but like that's probably what would be successful. I'm kind of curious to hear what yours is too.
Ooh. Of course, everyone thinks about money in terms of success, but I think it's more than money. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, really. I mean, of course, being able to, if it got to the point where I was welcoming just as many famous guests as I was local business owners or friends and family and stuff. I mean, if I was getting, Jelly Roll or, Tyler Hubbard or Carrie Underwood or, Theo Vaughn or Joe Rogan or all these other famous people just as often as I'm getting Joe Schmo from down the street or, local artist or a local business owner. If I'm getting just as many, if not maybe more celebrities, I think that's when I'll know I made it.
Yeah. And would you keep having the local people on?
Absolutely.
I feel the same way.
That's the bread and butter.
That's what my manager has always told me is like those radio stations that had you on at the very beginning, like go home to those places.
1,000%. Because that's the bread and butter of what you do, and it's the bread and butter of what I do. I mean, it's just local people.
100%.
We all start local.
Yep. Love it.
So, my friend, now I will give you the chance to look to the microphone, look to the camera, and remember, this will drop in early January. Okay. So, I mean, think about where you'll be mid-January in terms of like what you got coming out. But go ahead and plug yourself, plug everything, tell the people how to find you, where to listen to you, and all those things.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you having me on and chatting. This is a beautiful office, and I will hopefully be having my new single Ashtray come out on Friday, January 17th. Don't mark my words because I changed my last release date. But yeah, I think that's all I really know about for next right now, but we'll see. I'm sure something else will happen soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thank you.
For sure. Guys, I'll throw her information, like her socials and the links to her like Apple and Spotify profiles in the description of the episode, so it's easy to find. If you're curious about the music that we talked about, if you're curious about who she is, you'll be able to check out her socials and everything. Maybe you've got one of those like link trees and stuff. Yeah. I'll just throw your link tree in the description so that people can contact you if they would like to do so. Yeah. Ava, thank you so much for taking time today. This was so cool for me. It's really cool to sit down and talk to a local person that's got the crazy potential to be selling out stadiums and performing alongside the biggest artist in the world. Yeah. I think it'll happen. So when you do sell out Mercedes-Benz, at least promise me like a couple VIP passes or something.
Oh, totally.
And then some invites to the after party.
This exact table and then like talk about it, what our new definition of success is and all the cool guests you've had on the show and everything. I think that'll be like a really cool thing if we can come back in like 5 years maybe and just
what are you doing in 5 years?
Before then, but
yeah, for sure.
But also in 5 years and just have like a debrief. Okay, so this is what happened.
Yeah, like this is where we've been since then.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
5 years later.
I'll hold you to that. Yeah. Let's do that.
Yes.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Guys, again, her information and her stuff is going to be in the description of the episode. My stuff will also be in the description of the episode. So if you want to follow along on the socials, you can do that. If you want to subscribe on all of those platforms, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify for where you listen to your podcasts, I would greatly appreciate that. Again, follow on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. And we will catch you guys next time. See you later.